Thank you, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Nabaa Al Dabbagh, and I'm the Partnerships Manager at TikTok. And joining me today is Mohammed Hesham Moharram, a content creator and the co-founder of 90 Plus, and Budreya Al Faisal, who is the president of the UAE-based club Banat FC. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
I would like to start with a small introduction about TikTok and our mission, which is to inspire creativity and bring joy. I wanted to say that creativity is at the heart of our community. And by our community, I mean our creators and publishers. So today you're going to hear these terms a lot from me, at least, because we have both worlds in here, the creator and the publisher side. And we want to help you best learn on how to amplify your presence on the platform and how you can work on TikTok and how you can be present. Now, I'm going to start with Budreya, actually. Budreya, I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to start Banat FC?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me. I've been in the world of football, football management, football marketing since 2009. And most of my life, I was focused on men's football. Until recently, after having worked with the league, Al Ahli Club before the merge, my own consultancy that specialized in Arab football culture and marketing, I hadn't done absolutely anything with women's football except for managing one female athlete from Egypt. So I managed the athlete's image more than anything, creating brand value for the athletes off the pitch and on the pitch. Getting closer to that player from Egypt, Minna Tariq, got me to see into a world I had no idea about in terms of the disparities between men and women in the world of football. And I felt very guilty for not having done anything before to help. And that was actually when I decided to manage Minna with a completely different business model than I worked with the male footballers. And with time, I got to know more female footballers, and I already knew a few in the UAE and in Saudi. But the struggles were quite similar across the Arab world. And one day, on my way back from Egypt to Dubai, I had just come back from directing a very cool jersey campaign for Al Ahli Club in Egypt that I was very proud of. On my way back, I saw a post from a football club that just upset me because it didn't follow just the benchmark of what content should look like on social media in this decade. So I'm not even talking about what the content was, but just the formatting. Making a square video with a frame in this decade is not okay on Instagram. And I felt like at this point, I think I was a little bit tired of teaching the clubs and consulting and taking on that kind of work that I've done for a long time. And I felt like now I'm going to do it myself and try to create that benchmark for Arab football representation. But what I didn't know until the next day when I got to my office and I saw the account for UAE women's football, which was still very amateur. Our league is still quite amateur. I couldn't find a single club with an Arabic name. And that immediately stood out because anyone who knows Arab football, you know our clubs, at least in the UAE, they're called Al-Dhafra, Al-Wasal, Jazeera. These are all Arab names. And the English ones, or the other ones, all had English names. Even the Arab-owned clubs or academies had English names. And since I specialize in Arab football culture and representation, I felt like this was now my chance to change that. Instead of not giving it attention because I thought women's football wasn't going to grow until somebody upstairs made a decision, let's help them make that decision a lot sooner. And I decided to start my own club and thought of all the girls that I knew that didn't have the opportunity to play because there just weren't enough clubs. And I immediately thought of the name Banat FC, something very simple that girls from the entire Arab world can understand and relate to. And in 26 days, I started a football club.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, since I asked you what inspired you to start the football club, what inspired you, Haram, to be a content creator?
The short answer is the way I see football. Because, to be honest, I never thought of myself or I never saw myself as a video content creator before I joined TikTok. Because journalism is my background. I'm a journalist, I'm an author. I write articles, I publish books. That's where my passion lies. Before TikTok, I had tried creating videos a couple of times, but it didn't really work out because I wasn't fully invested in it, and frankly, I didn't even care. However, when you see the world changing around you and the video content becoming everything, you have to be smart enough to adapt, and or you will end up like Don Quixote fighting the windmills. So I created my TikTok account, and at first when I created my TikTok account, I tried out different types of content, but nothing felt right. I wasn't being true to myself. So I asked myself, what am I really good at? What do I want to share with people? And the answer was quite clear. The way I see football is quite unique. To me, football is an art. It is as beautiful as poetry, theater, cinema, music. This is how I see it, and this is how I want to talk about it. So I'm a storyteller. I decided I will share stories about the beautiful game. The good, the sad, the strange, the unbelievable. And finally, eventually it all came together. It took time to find the right formula, blending the content I want to share or the content I'm passionate about with the content people want to watch. But finally, or eventually, it all came together. And I started crafting stories, drawing from the interviews I've done with over 70 football legends and stars. And I remember my first viral video. It was about Ronaldo R9 El Fenomeno. When I came across a widely shared story that his iconic haircut 2002,
Yeah.
that was for his kid to recognize him, or to his kid always confused him with Roberto Carlos on pitch. So after that, I met Ronaldo and I asked him about that story, and I shared a story about myself that I copied his horrible hairstyle at 2002. And my mom she was furious, and she made me shaved it off within 10 minutes after the barber shop. He laughed and he told me that his mom was furious as well, but he made it up with her with the World Cup. Eventually, it's obviously something I couldn't do. And he told me the real story. The real story was, he said he had just come back from a major injury, and everybody was talking about it, and everybody was putting a lot of pressure on him. So he came up with the haircut as to give something to the media, something else to the media to talk about. It was a distraction to give something to the media to talk about, and that what happened. They started talking about the haircut and never mentioned the injury again. I shared the story. I fact-checked the myth, and I added my own style, my own twist on it, as I am the source of the story, and I shared it, and it went viral. And I realized that I was on the right path, and I didn't stop telling stories on TikTok since then.
You always tell us amazing stories,
Thank
actually.
you.
Now, Budreya, you obviously starting a whole club was a challenge on its own, and thinking about that. So, but I want to know more about what has been your biggest challenge ever since starting Banat FC.
I think in general, considering women's football is very fresh and green in the Arab region, around the world actually, but in the Arab world, in the Middle East, in the UAE specifically, we're unfortunately a little bit far behind, and it's difficult for us to have sustainability in such a raw environment that still hasn't been embraced culturally and financially. So there's a lot of restrictions when you talk about the Emirati household and how we look at women's football. how the general household would look at women's football. We're a lot more closed off than people would think. I feel, now I'm in Saudi, I can actually ask this question. I actually think that it is more closed off than in Saudi Arabia culturally in an Emirati house. That it's, you don't have enough of the population that are open to it and that encourage it. So it makes it very difficult to have parents supporting their daughters to play the game. If you look at that as the most basic challenge in women's football, that stops everything else. It stops investment, just growth in the sports, getting the kind of support we need for that sustainability. So that's our biggest challenge. That's part of why I made this club built on Arab identities, Emirati values. We're the only modest club in the UAE because there's a reason behind that. Away from any personal beliefs, it is to use this club to try and change the mindsets of parents that have seen the sport as something that is against the culture. So we're trying to make changes. We need to get to the point where the sport is sustainable, our presence is sustainable, because it is very, very difficult. I've lost players. This is only our second season. But we've made a lot of noise, alhamdulillah. But we've lost a lot of players to these cultural restrictions, to parents saying, no, you need to get off of social media. But in my club, any player that joins Banats FC signs a contract that they have to have a public social media presence. That's not a common thing in the Arab region. Even here, until very recently, most of the players, and still a lot of the players' accounts are private. But for me, if I'm trying to change the game and change the mindset, I need to show girls what they can become. I need to create role models. And you cannot create role models if they're all hiding. So if I lose them, then I lose them. Sorry, this isn't the place for you. You don't have to be the best player, but you have to be a visible player that other girls can look up to, so they can want to be like you, so they can go and join an academy and become a pro player one day. So yeah, quite a few challenges, but sustainability due to culture and just the difficulty really of being women's football in the UAE.
It's always a challenge for women to be a part of football as well. Yeah. Now, Moharram, you were a big part of CAF and TikTok's partnership, and we saw a huge success for you in terms of content on TikTok, like just at the beginning of the year, actually, with AFCON. Yeah. Can you tell us about how you approached content? What was the recipe of success for you?
That was quite the experience. I was truly honored to be part of it. I would love to have all the credit for this journey's success. But the truth is, I had every possible tool and support to make it happen. TikTok sports team, they were amazing, incredibly helpful, incredibly supportive, gave me all the info I needed, all the access I needed. Fadi, yourself, and of course the big boss, Moharram. They were always there for me. I don't think I thanked you enough for this journey, so thank you. And also the CAF digital team, they made my job much easier. Actually, they made my life much easier. Yeah, thank you guys. They didn't treat me as the typical content creator who's coming to cover a few games and leave. They welcomed me as a part of the team from the moment I arrived to Abidjan to the moment I left with so many memories and new friends. Africa is beautiful, full of beautiful people, passionate football fans, and tons of stories. I had a content strategy on mind that I would have been super proud and happy if I managed to execute even half of it. But with the level of access I was given, I found myself wanting to create even more content, tell more stories, cover every single moment I could. So I exceeded my strategies and my expectations. For any journalist or content creator, this is the heaven. They are giving me all the access I need, and there's no excuse not to create good content. You know, with great access comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
So I started doing the things. I started working on every single game, and it was amazing that يعني the only challenge for me as an Arabic speaking content creator, that by the time I arrived all the Arabic national team had been already eliminated. That meant I had two types of followers: the ones who love football in general and African competition, and they were there engaging and getting what they want. And the other type, the ones who only follow when their national teams are playing, or when the content directly connects with them. So to reach the second group, I tailored some of my content to things they really care about. For example, when South Africa played, I highlighted Percy Tau. He's a player in South Africa national team, and he's a beloved player from Al Ahly fans in Egypt, so I can connect with Egyptian fans, and we are a lot.
Yeah.
Same thing with when Cote d'Ivoire played. I focused on Frankie Say and some other Russian league players, SPL players, to connect with the Saudi Arabian followers. I covered Victor Osimhen from Nigeria. By then he was a Serie A winner with Napoli, to engage the Arabic-speaking fans of Italian football. It was a great experience that I would carry in my heart forever. It was really amazing.
Great. So, Budreya, you know how TikTok has always been a supporter of women's football, and we've always been empowering women's football. This is why we've been the sponsor of the T-shirt sponsor of Banat FC for the past 2 seasons. Can you tell us more about that? How does it translate to Banat FC? What does it mean to Banat FC?
Absolutely. So this sponsorship came along in our first season. So we were still very new, only a few months into the season, and I reached out to Moharram to actually ask him what he thought about a certain sponsorship idea that I had in mind for the jersey that had nothing to do with TikTok. And then we both talked about, you know what if we actually did put the logo on there for a while and just see what it does before we see if it becomes an actual sponsorship, and see what it does in terms of helping the clubs, obviously our overall value on our brand equity, and attracting other sponsors. And within that same phone call, it turned into, hold on, wait, we're going to sponsor you. We want to sponsor you. Mo has been incredible and supportive of everything I've done in the world of football since I was managing Amar Asuma forever ago. So he's always bought into my vision in the world of football, which I always appreciate. And just like that, we became the first independent women's club to be sponsored by TikTok and have TikTok on our jersey. And that was such a big deal, because what it meant is that we have arrived. Women's football is getting the attention of commercial companies and entities like TikTok that have maybe one of the biggest influences, at least in terms of the younger generations that we do want to attract. It got everybody talking. Everyone was talking in our very small world of women's football in the UAE, but also beyond. So even when you look at men's football accounts that typically only post about us when they want to use us as clickbait, we know it's not for support. We see you. We know what you're doing. But we accept it, because any kind of support, any kind of exposure is good exposure. And our girls are all strong enough not to be too hurt by, comments made by mentalities that we just don't agree with, that don't see eye to eye. But what TikTok did was, it did open other doors. It did attract other sponsorships. We're now also the only independent women's club to become an official Nike club in the Arab region. That is huge. That just happened. We had a massive event at the Nike store in Dubai Mall. That was a very important moment. And that happened off the back of TikTok being a sponsor of Banat FC. And also what that did was it pushed my agenda of getting more exposure and pushing the girls, the players themselves, to become active on social media, because like I said, Most of them had private accounts, their families weren't open to it. We don't only have Arab players, we have players from everywhere. We have 11 nationalities on the team. But it was difficult, and for most of them as well, because they just weren't used to sharing content online. And now it was in their contract. You don't just have to have a public account, you have to be active. You have to post twice a week. Post in whatever way you want, on stories, on your feed, on TikTok, in any way. And it was very heavy for the players. But also you guys helped. We had a workshop at the office, and you shared with them, you yourself shared with them the best practices and how to do it, and you were there for them, and that helped a lot. And now we go to places and people and guys who still won't follow a women's football club. They'll all say, oh, we know you, Banat FC, you're from TikTok. They know us from TikTok. They don't know us from the women's league, which is incredible.
Amazing. I mean, we're also proud to be working with Banat FC, and hopefully we'll see bigger things.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Haram, today you come in wearing two hats, actually.
Okay.
The content creator hat and the 90-plus publisher hat. Now, when it comes to planning content, how do you do it for, like, separately for each? For Mohammed, Hesham, Haram, and for 90-plus?
Okay, before diving into the differences between the content made by a creator and a publisher, let me first explain what we do at 90+. We are a production house, a platform, and an agency all in one. We're experts in creating content, covering sports events. We've worked with, we create all types of content, from the social media videos and podcasts to short films and documentaries. Over the past 5 years, we've worked with a lot of partners, covering sports events and creating content for TV or for social media, including Dubai Sports TV, On Time Sports TV, Clarence Seedorf, Michelle Salgado, Emirates News Agency, and Dubai Super Cup, which featured Liverpool, Arsenal, Milan, and Lyon. Whenever we worked with a partner who didn't have an official presence on TikTok, we've made it a priority to highlight the importance of being on TikTok, because if you're not in TikTok, you're missing out on massive opportunities out there. We are among the first, or if not the very first, sports publishers on TikTok, because we believed in TikTok since day one. We saw the potential, and it did really happen that when we partnered with TikTok, that took our, not clients, I always say they are my partners, our partners, they took them to another level. Talking about the differences between the publisher and creator, to be honest, it's starting to blur a little bit, because now publishers are working with creators to present content, and I guess, and this is my opinion, it's a very good step forward, because working with creators make the publishers more relatable and effective on all levels. That said, the publishers offers a wider range of content. We can see the publishers have the creator-led videos, or the text on videos format, or voiceovers, or animated videos. These types are more diversified, because you have a lot of things to do, you have a lot of things to offer. This is the main difference between the publisher and the creator. But my advice is, if you're a publisher, if you are a creator, and you're not posting on TikTok, if you're not active on TikTok, you're missing out on massive opportunities, because TikTok is unique because it is the only platform where you can have 0 followers, but your content can reach to millions of views and millions of new users. So you have to start now. You have nothing to lose. You have to start now. This is the big step you need to really take. Covering something like tournaments or games without broadcasting rights could be a challenge for some, but not for me, not with this kind of partnership, because football is not just what happens on pitch. Football is, the fans are the heart and soul of this game. If you focus on the fans, you can tell a million stories. You could capture moments from the players' reaction on the bench. You can capture moments from the coach's emotions on touchline, from the players or fans' celebration after a win or after a goal. These moments are iconic and stick in people's memories for life. That's it. يعني, of course, you cannot film the games directly or violate any copyrights, but you can tell, yeah.
You can in the Women's League.
Copyrights.
Yeah.
You can in the Women's League. Yeah, you're more than welcome to.
I have an open invitation from you and from your coach. Yeah, I cannot, when it's Champions League or AFCON or any major trophy, I cannot film directly the games or violate any copyrights, but I have a lot of other things to do. Fans.
Because we see these moments anyways, right? I mean, we see them on TV or anywhere else, but the special moments that you talked about, the coaches, the fans, and things like that are what matter.
Yeah, and you don't know when the iconic moment will happen. يعني, who knew that Roger Mila will do his iconic dance?
Yeah.
But if you imagine, if you're a content creator or a journalist, and you are the one to capture the Roger Mila iconic dance, or the Salim Al-Dusari flip, it sticks in people's mind forever. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Now for you, Budreya, in terms of content as well, how do you plan content for Banat FC? What's the process?
With difficulty.
Always.
I mean, we are a small club, a very small operation. A lot of what you see online across our social media and digital platforms is made by myself. And a lot of it with the support of my digital marketing manager as well, who's made the website. And when it comes to TikTok, what's lighter and easier about it is that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not a brochure. It's the personality of your brand. You know, it's not the thing that you're using specifically to sell to a company, but you use it to sell to consumers. So I'm not using this for sponsorship, but I'm using it for academy players. I got most of my academy players that signed up on our website. We started our academy this year, so we have under 18 and under 16, under 14. It happened very quickly. We're very, very blessed that that came together. But most of the players that sign up will put on their website when asked, how did you hear about us? TikTok, 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 TikTok. Specifically those age groups, the younger age groups that are coming to us in bigger numbers. So we understand that the use, they're not looking at that to find the perfect poster. I'm so sick of football posters. I really do not like football posters. It's such an old way of doing things. You know, the logos and the text and, you know, a photo that looks super posterized and edited. It feels so ancient. And it's just better to actually get someone talking about the next game. Have a player say, you know, come and see us at the next game. We're playing against so-and-so at this place. So it's just a lot more raw. It's a lot easier. The best content that we've gotten engagement with has been the content that we've posted straight from training, edited right away, that shows the personality of the players, of them being loud or aggressive or whatever it is, and posting it right away. That's always the content that does best. So that's been our approach with TikTok. We haven't been doing enough, but we will as we grow now. But the good thing we have is that now we have our players creating that content. And that's what I want the most. I want them to create it, and I want to be able to share it. And I want the academy players to engage with both. That's our approach.
Perfect. Now, Haram, just to wrap up with you, what is the best advice you'd give to football content creators? You being a content creator, to football content creators, they're just starting. There's a lot of noise now. There's a lot of content creators. We have some content creators in here as well.
Great content creator.
Yeah, amazing content creators. So for those that are just starting, what's the best advice you can give them?
Start now. Don't wait for the perfect time because the right time is now.
It's never too late, right?
Yeah, it's never too late. No, start now. Now is the right time.
Yeah.
Even if you're unsure where or how to begin. Because here's the thing. Everyone has something he can talk about passionately for 2 hours without even blinking. This is your content. This is where you should start. So if you're doing this, you're already creating content. So start now. And once you start, you will realize or discover one of three things. You have the talent, you have the knowledge, you're naturally good in front of camera. So you just need to read more and learn more to become even better in your field. 2, you have the knowledge and the talent, but you're not comfortable on camera yet. So practice will improve you, will help you improve. 3, this might not be your talent, and that's okay. At least now you know, and you can focus on finding new things to express your passion. But you have nothing to lose. Start now. That's it.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Start now. Now, Budreya, for you, just one last question.
Sure.
TikTok trends, we see a trend every day.
Yeah.
I want to know, how have you used TikTok trends and to amplify your reach? How did you work around it?
We have, obviously, when there's a special moment, the transformation kind of trends in football, that we basically look at what other women's clubs have been doing internationally, and also here in Saudi. It's been great here. The Saudi Women's League has done incredible content on TikTok. So we take inspiration from them. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's literally called trending content. Others have done it. It's worked for them, and we make it work for us. And it's simple. And again, that's the kind of content that we try to get the players to create on their own. So they get more into the platform, get more comfortable with it, and becomes the kind of content that we can repost. So that's really our approach with trending content.
Yeah, and we always say watch more TikTok. The more you watch, the more you're going to learn how it works.
Exactly.
And the more you'll see these trends and actually try to do it in your own special touch.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Moharram and Budreya, for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for attending this. And
thank you for having us. Thank you, guys. Thank you.